Hey guys, it's Fourth Wall Break, and today I've got something a bit different. Usually I do gaming videos on my channel, but today I'm going to show you a card game instead of a video game. You've probably heard of Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, stuff like that. They're pretty fun card games. I mean, trading card games are pretty fun in general. Magic the Gathering is another one that's pretty good. I've not really played much of it. But today I don't have one of those. Instead I have my own card game, which I've been working on for a while. And it's called Scuffle. What you're going to need is 2 decks of playing cards. This one's set up for explanation later, and a 6-sided die. That's all. Now, it probably seems a bit weird that you would use a deck of playing cards instead of like specialized cards, but trust me, I've worked this out and it works pretty well. I've had some help with development of it, and yeah, it's been in the works for a while. But I think you guys will like it. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to shuffle your deck. Each player is going to shuffle their deck, actually. And then you're going to draw 7 cards. And I don't know what these are going to be. That's actually not a very fun hand. Alright, well, it's a good thing I'm not explaining with this one, then. And then both players will roll the die to see who goes first. You know, the usual stuff whenever you're trying to decide who goes first. Now, every turn consists of 2 phases. An action phase and a battle phase. Battle phase isn't important yet, but it's basically where you're going to attack and try to knock your opponent out. Every game goes until one player runs out of health or a player runs their deck dry, and that's not really going to happen very often because of something that I will show you guys later. So this is where your deck's going to be usually, just up and to the right. You can be up and to the left if you want it to be. You can be in the center of the field if you want it to be. It doesn't really matter. It just has to be somewhere on the table. Discard pile goes somewhere, and this is just basically where you'd put your hand, I guess. There's going to be 3 rows to the field, and usually about 4 columns, but you can have it set out however you want. This is just how I set it up. The front row is going to be your fields and your guardians. Next row is going to be fighters, and then the back row is going to be face down cards. Now I'm going to cover each of the things in depth because it's probably going to be confusing if I just refer to everything and not tell you what they are. A Guardian is going to be any face card of hearts. Only hearts can be played alone. They're only played alone. So they just go right up in the front. These will defend you from attacks, but they won't really do anything for you other than that. Which is why we have attacking forces, which are fighters. Fighters consist of a number card of hearts, a number card of a suit, and then a face card of the matching suit. So, for example, you can't play a King of Diamonds with a 6 of Clubs and an 8 of Hearts. It has to be King of Clubs with a 6 of Clubs, and these 2 have to match, or else you can't play it. These can be Ace through 10, they just can't be a face card. Now, they can be any suit, of course, so you could have a Jack of Diamonds or even a Queen of Spades. Now, whenever you play a fighter, the number card of Hearts is its defense, and the number card of whatever suit you play is going to be its attack. This is how much damage it does, this is the maximum damage it can take, and the number is how much it takes, or does. Aces are 1, except if they're with another ace. If you have a fighter that's 2 aces paired, it is an 11 and an 11, which is pretty much the strongest base attack you can have. Now we get into actions, because I've already told you how fighters work. Now there are 3 actions that you play onto the field. And that's going to be a 10, I have all 4 of them here for a reason, a 2, or an ace. Aces can go on any fighter. It doesn't matter what their suit is. It can be a diamond on a spade or a diamond on a club. Only as an action, though. If it says a value, it has to match suit. But as an action, you can play it onto any fighter. This will add half of their attack and defense back to their attack and defense. So a 6 adds 3 to it, and that becomes a 9. An 8 adds 4, becomes a 12. A 9 would add 4.5, which rounds down to 4, always round down, and you get a 13. 5 would become a 7, and so on and so forth. This ace becomes a 16-16, I believe. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Please do. I'm okay with that. So yeah, that just goes on a fighter somewhere, and 1.5 times their attack and defense. A 2 goes to the front of the field and prevents the opponent from attacking during their next turn. So if you're in a pinch and you don't have anything on the field, you can just play a 2 and all of a sudden you've got another turn to try and get something out. 10s go to the top of the field as well, or at least that's where I put them. And they will add 3 to any number on the field that is attached to a fighter and has the same suit as the 10. So for instance, if it's 10 of diamonds, this Jack of diamonds 9 becomes a 12 because it has plus 3 added. 10s are always plus 3 unless you're playing with some alternate rules or something. And they can be any suit, but they only add to the suit that they are. So example, spades adds to this ace-ace, clubs adds to the 6-8. A 10 of hearts will add 3 to pretty much every fighter's defense, as long as they're all using a heart card for defense, which they should be, because they can't not use one. Because that makes sense. 5 would become an 8, 8 would become an 11, and an ace would become a 4 unless it's attached to another ace, and then it's a 14. You get the gist of it. So that's cards that can go to the field. Next we get into cards that are discarded to be played. That's 3s, 4s, and 5s. Probably in numerical order. A 3 you discard from your hand, and you draw 3 cards. Simple. A 4 you play to the discard, then you take the top 4 cards off of your deck and look at them. You can choose any one of these cards, but only one. You take it, add it to your hand, the other 3 go into the deck and get shuffled back in for later. That way you're not just discarding cards randomly. The 5 goes to the discard, you discard your hand, and you draw 5 new cards. Really useful if you have less cards in your hand than 5, but also kind of good in a pinch when you can't get a fighter out yet. So yeah. Next we get to face down cards. 6s, 7s, 8s, and 9s can all be played face down from your hand. They're all played face down because, well, you gotta keep it a secret which one you're playing. It's basically like your trap cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! A 6 you'll play face down, and when an opponent attacks you, let's say they have like a Queen of Clubs, 5 attack, 4 defense, and they attack, it'll go to my Guardian, of course, because I'll explain that later, because attacking is a bit weird. But whenever they attack, you can reveal a face down card, and for a 6 you roll a die, whatever number comes up, you draw that many cards. It's really easy and fun, and really good for getting extra cards out if you don't have a lot in your hand. The 7 will go face down, and when your opponent attacks, you can reveal it. Whatever damage they would have done to a fighter goes back to the opponent's health. So let's say they attack with a King of Diamonds, 6 attack, 9 defense. They attack this this Queen of Spades. That's gonna do 6 attack will become 12 attack because of something I'll explain later on. Basically, all the damage goes back to the fighter, and in this case, it would knock it out. An 8 gets played face down, and whenever the opponent attacks, you can reveal it. And whatever damage is done to a fighter, you also deal directly to the opponent's health. So basically, if they did like 11 damage to a fighter, they would also take 11 damage themselves. A 9 is a bit weird. You play it face down, and whenever you attack and the opponent reveals something, let's say the opponent reveals an 8, you can reveal the 9. Now you roll a die, and if it's even, let's say it came up even, then the 8 gets discarded with no effect, and the 9 gets discarded, having gotten rid of the effect. If it's odd, the effect of the opponent's card still continues, and your 9 is basically wasted. So yeah, a 9 just negates whatever card the opponent flipped. Now, 5s can also be played face down. I gotta find one of these back. Here they are. 5s can also be played face down. Whenever the opponent attacks, you reveal your 5, and then you roll a die. If it's even, the opponent has to shuffle their hand into their deck and then draw 5 new cards. So basically you're resetting the opponent's hand instead of resetting yours. Now we get to the Joker. The Joker is not a face card. It's just not. Instead, you can discard it, and you can do one of 2 things. You can either remove an opponent's fighter from the field, so any of these 3 things. Let's say the opponent played one, and they could get rid of my Queen of Spades free of charge. You can actually cancel that out with a 9, as well as the other trap cards. So like, say they played that, I play this, roll it, it's even, my fighter doesn't go away. You can also discard it, and then shuffle your discard pile into your deck. So, like I said earlier, it's not really gonna run. You're not really gonna run out of cards in your deck. That's why the Joker. You have 2 in every set of cards, so you can use 1 to remove a fighter, then use 1 to shuffle it back in. Really easy, really good. Now we get into the attacking phase. So let me pull out another set of cards and some extras. Here are some cards I made for this, and they just have little symbols on them on the suits to sort of show what's basically what. Think of spades as fire, clubs as grass, and diamonds as water. It's really easy to remember if you think of it as a rock, paper, scissors sort of thing. Basically, diamonds is paper, spades is a rock, and clubs is scissors. So let's say the opponent has out a King of Spades, 6 attack, 9 defense, as well as a Queen of Hearts Guardian. So it's my turn, and I choose to attack. I have to attack Guardians with the highest value I have on the field. So in this case, it would be a Queen of Spades with an ace-ace. That would be an 11 attack, and it has to go first. There are situations in which this can change, and an ace-ace is not the highest. Say there's an ace on your Jack of Diamonds with 9 attack, suddenly this one's the strongest, and now it has to attack first, meaning this thing gets left last. Unfortunately, this is not an ideal circumstance. This being gone is really good because of type effectiveness. Like I said earlier, spades is fire and diamonds is water. Basically meaning that if this thing has to attack first and it's already used its attack, this thing then attacks. Whenever a guardian is defeated, it goes straight to the discard. Same with any fighters. Same with any cards you play from your hand. Same with any cards you reveal from the bottom. But it's discarded, and then this thing is ready to be attacked. Whenever you attack something that's not a guardian, you initiate the attack, and then you look at the values on each card. This Jack of Diamonds has a 9 as its attack, and this King of Spades has a 9 as its defense. There's a little bit different of something going on, though, because of spades and water. Diamonds, like I said earlier, there's type effectiveness, will do twice damage to spades because water beats fire. Spades will do half damage to diamonds because fire is put out by water, because that's how logic works. Anyways, the 9 damage will be doubled and will become 18 damage to this King of Spades, meaning that the 9 defense is not enough to keep up with that, and it gets discarded. Like I said earlier, there's the face down cards, and this is where the 7 really gets to be explained in depth. Because when you attack the opponent, they can play their 7, and all of a sudden that's 18 damage hitting this, but instead goes back to this. So that's 18 damage knocking out my Jack of Diamonds, and their spades gets to stay out on the field. Now in the case of that was the other face cards. In the case of an 8, they would play that, and then their 18 damage that they take from this would go directly to me. Now, when an opponent is attacked, or when an opponent fighter isn't attacked, there is any damage excess, so like in this case with 18 to 9, the amount that you deal is subtracted, the amount of the opponent's HP, the amount of the opponent's fighter's defense is subtracted from the attack value of the attack. So the 18 minus 9, there's 9 left over. That is dealt directly to the opponent, and they take that damage. At the beginning of every game, you decide how much attack or defense, or no, how much health you play to, and usually it's going to be 50 or 100. I'm sorry that I'm explaining this out of order. I'm going to have a PDF of the rules in the description so you can look at that, but basically, yeah. Excess damage is done directly to the opponent, and if there's nothing on the field to defend the opponent, you just attack them directly. So you want to win the game by knocking out all the opponent's health, and whoever loses all their health first loses. And that's pretty much all, I think. I think I've covered everything. Like I said, I'm going to have a PDF in the description, or at least I'm going to try to. And hopefully it'll be a little bit easier to understand than my ramblings constantly. I'm sorry if this video makes no sense. Please just let me know if I should try it again or something. But yeah, that's pretty much all for the game. I might see if I can upload a game of it soon, maybe? But for now, this is basically the rules. This is Scuffle. I hope you enjoy it, and that's all.